Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, my name is izlogic.business, welcoming you back to another predictions and results video for week 4 and 3 respectively. Today we're going to be covering week 3's results first for the LEC and the LCS straight away, and we should jump straight into this, starting with the LEC. And on Friday we saw Mad Lions vs SK, Misfits vs Schalke, Fnatic vs XL, Vitality vs Origin, Rogue vs G2 in some very explosive and fun matchups. And I predicted Mad Lions beating out SK, Misfits beating the weak Schalke, XL beating Fnatic, I don't know what I was on last week, and Origin beating Vitality, and G2 beating Rogue. Now for the actual results on Friday, we saw SK lose, we saw Schalke lose, we saw XL lose. Yeah, that is probably one of my worst decisions so far this split. We saw Vitality lose and also Rogue losing out to G2. So all in all, a strong 4 out of 5 there on our Friday predictions. And moving on to Saturday, we saw Schalke vs SK, XL vs Vitality, Mad Lions Rogue, Origin Misfits, G2 and Fnatic rounding out the LEC week. And I predicted Schalke getting their first win, which was actually a really good game. If I had to recommend to you a game from the LEC this week, it would be that one or the game that ended the week, the G2 Fnatic one. Now, I predicted Schalke winning the first matchup, I also predicted XL winning the second matchup, Mad losing out to Rogue, which was a toss-up game, Origin beating Misfits, and G2 beating Fnatic. Now we come to the actual results here for you guys, and yeah, Schalke lost. It's definitely a game you should check out, it's one that I recommend. XL won against Vitality, Mad beat Rogue, a very good matchup as well. Misfits continuing their winning ways, beating out Origin, and G2 smashing Fnatic in the last game of the week. All in all, a very strong week in the LEC for me. And yeah, let's move over to the LCS side, where we predicted some good matchups here on Saturday. OG versus CLG, 100 Thieves versus Team Liquid, Dignitas versus TSM, C9 versus FlyQuest, and I predicted CLG losing that matchup that was our Anarchy analysis for the week. 100 Thieves beating Team Liquid, Dignitas losing out to TSM, and FlyQuest losing out to C9. Now, if we look at the actual results here for Saturday, we saw CLG beating out EG for their first win. We saw 100 Thieves dominating this very weak Team Liquid team, Dignitas dropping the ball against TSM, and C9 continuing their undefeated ways against FlyQuest. Moving on to Sunday, we saw Immortals versus 100 Thieves, GGU versus TSM, Dignitas versus C9, and FlyQuest versus Evil Geniuses. I predicted 100 Thieves beating out IMT. I predicted TSM GGU game being a TSM win. Dignitas beating C9, that was probably one of the worst decisions I made. And FlyQuest beating EG. Now we come to the actual results for Sunday. And what we see is Immortals won, TSM won, C9 won, and Evil Geniuses won. Yeah, it's kind of a who can win whatever game here. LCS, if you can't tell, is a bit toss-up. You don't know who's going to win, it's very close. Whereas the LEC is quite easy to predict. As for Monday though, Team Liquid versus GGU, and CLG versus Immortals. If I had to recommend a game for you to watch in the LCS this week, watch the CLG game. It is very good. And I predicted Team Liquid beating GGU, and I predicted Immortals beating CLG. And if we look at the actual results, GGU pick up, I believe, their first win of the season, and CLG losing out against Immortals, giving us a half record here on Monday. And if we look at the overall results for each day this week, we see on Friday and Saturday in the LEC we managed a positive 6 record. Obviously I want to stay above 5 or at 5 each week. Going below that means that I'm not getting half the results correct, which is kind of poor. But as we look at the LCS side, 3 out of 4, 1 out of 4, 1 out of 2, giving us a total of 5 out of 10, and our grand totals we're sort of slipping on the LCS side, which I'm looking to claw back this week. I'm hoping for a big week here. And yeah, we need 4 points on the LCS side to stay above the half point, and we need nothing really on the LEC side to stay above half for next week. So without further ado, let's jump into my week 4 predictions for the LEC and the LCS. Now, the games on Friday are as follows: Mad Lions vs Origin, XL vs SK, Vitality Fnatic, Rogue Schalke, and G2 Misfits. Some very explosive games there, and we'll start with the first big one. Mad Lions, the team that's doing very well, that young gun team that's full of rookies for this split, and Humanoid as well, going up against a team that sort of slipped in last week. They underperformed, I do believe, and will they perform against Mad Lions? In my opinion, no. Mad are on such a good, sort of a good run at the moment, and they're a very strong team. Kazi is absolutely insane in that bot lane, and they're just playing around him perfectly, Mad, and they're sort of a great team that could possibly make semis, if not the final, of this spring split. As for our second matchup, I've gone with XL here. Yeah, so SK are also on a full of form. They've only won 1 game this season, and I thought that they shouldn't. No, they've won 2 games. I tell a lie. They shouldn't have won against Schalke, who threw away the game literally on a push towards base. And yeah, unlucky for Schalke there. However, our third game is fairly easy to predict. You've got a very weak Vitality versus a very strong Fnatic, who have only suffered losses here to OG and G2, I do believe. And yeah, you've got to go with Fnatic in that matchup, but I do feel that could be a swing matchup. As for our fourth match of the day, we have Rogue and Schalke. A very good matchup there. I've tossed it over to Rogue. Rogue have slipped up a slightly bit last week, but they're still a good strong squad, and they just got that good young mentality that know how to play the game, and I feel they're gonna do well against Schalke. And for the final match of Friday, probably the match of the week I should say, Misfits and G2 taking it to the Rift, and I've gone with G2. The Misfits team have beaten Origin and have beaten quite a few good teams in recent weeks, but this G2 team are just unstoppable at the moment. I don't think they're going to be beaten. They possibly might get the first undefeated split in the LEC. However, it does mean seeing some improvement from certain aspects of the game, but yeah, still strong squad. I feel they're going to win. And moving on to Saturday, we have Misfits, Vitality, SK Rogue, Schalke G2, Origin XL, and Fnatic versus Mad. So we start off with an easy one here. I've gone with Misfits beating Vitality. Misfits have just looked so good recent weeks, and they deserve to be where they are in their current form. SK versus Rogue, you gotta give it to Rogue. SK, Vitality, and Schalke currently, you can't give them wins. They're teams that really are kind of underperforming this season, and you think, yeah, Vitality have lost quite a few of their main players. They've only retained 2 or 3 of them from last season, but you should be still performing considering you're an LEC team, and having such bad performances, it's worrying to see. So yeah, I'm interested to see how they turn things around in summer. And moving on to Schalke G2, you get the picture with that game. You can't give it to Schalke when G2 are so dominant. As for the next game, it's Origin versus XL, and I've gone with Origin here. I feel this is their turning point game to go back on the win. XL have looked strong, they've got such a good squad. However, I feel they're going to have a 1-in-1 week this week, and it's going to be good for Origin to actually play this game because I think this would be a confidence booster. And final element for Saturday, the last game of the week, probably my Anarchy analysis for this week, I do believe. If I have a look at my note page here, I have a note page with all the teams I'm yet to cover in the LEC, and Mad's one of them, SK and Vitality is one, and Fnatic's the other. So I'm going to kill two birds with one stone with that game, and be sure to check it out when I eventually get to watch it, because I don't get to watch the LEC straight up on a Saturday anymore because I have other commitments. But I've gone and gave it to Mad Lions. Mad, I feel, is going to be an interesting matchup. Kazi versus Reckless is an insane thing to watch. I feel it's going to be good. I, hands down, want Mad Lions to win that game. Now let's move over to the LECS side of things, starting with our Saturday 4 matches with Team Liquid versus Immortals, C9 versus TSM, GGU versus CLG, 100 Thieves versus Dignitas. And we're going to start off with an interesting matchup here. And I struggled, I thought about this for a while, because you don't know what's happening with Team Liquid. The fact that Broxer has finally got his visa means that he is coming over to NA either for this week or next week, and I'm unsure of if he's playing, so I've gone and gave it to Immortals. I watched Immortals last game against CLG, and Immortals played well. Their decision making in late game was perfect. You've got such good OG players in Smithy there, and a couple of others who can just control the tempo of the game and show why they're actually tied for second place. But enough about that game. Let's look at the next game, which is the biggest game of the week. C9 versus TSM. Will I predict another team to beat C9 this week? Yes, I've predicted their first defeat will come to TSM, and I'm going to keep doing this to C9 and throwing away a point every week because I'm predicting one team to beat this unstoppable C9 team. But I have reasoning for this one. TSM, after the first week where Bjergsen was ill, TSM have looked phenomenal. They smoked CLG, they smoked Dignitas, and if their last game of last week was anything to go by, you don't give Broken Blade an Aurelia or any sort of assassin that can jump on you, because he was clean, and you don't want him getting that, so your bans are gonna have to take away some part of his champion pool. As for the third matchup of the day, this was an interesting one, and you've got two teams at the bottom of the pile who are struggling. It's gonna be interesting, but I've given it to CLG. CLG picked up their first win last week against EG. EG have looked kind of iffy from week to week. Sometimes they overperform, sometimes they just flop, and you don't know which EG you were getting. That being said, CLG deserved to be 2-0 up last week after their Immortals game getting unluckily backdoored, spoiler alert for if you're gonna watch it, but it was very, very interesting as a game, and I feel CLG are going to take their good form that they've got from the last 2 games and take it to this GGU team, who have not really shown me too much potential, to be honest. And finalement for Saturday, we have 100 Thieves versus Dignitas, and this is one of them other toss-up matches. Today, that Saturday for the LCS is very, very close to being either or on most games. In fact, it is a very close game here in the LCS for anything, really. But the last game, I've given it to Dignitas. Dignitas are gonna reclaim their form that they lost. Froggen was the first week's MVP. You've got such good shot calling, OG players, and Johnson hasn't really put a step wrong in my opinion. He's just been consistent. He's like the Kobe team who's Mr. Consistent, who never puts a foot wrong. You won't lose or win a game off him, but he's playing well. And with the OG-ness of the players in that team, I feel are going to be very, very good to watch. Now moving on to Sunday, the last 4 games of the day, and then we move on to the next week of the Monday Night League. We start with Dignitas versus GGU. I don't really need to say anything other than Dignitas will win that, because I don't think I predicted GGU to win anything this year, and I don't think they will against Dig. I feel that Dig are going to treat them like TSM treated them. CLG versus Team Liquid is again another really close toss-up game. Like, I can't really say that Team Liquid are going to show up, but I have to give them against ELG, who have just looked underperforming. Crown has been last week. He didn't perform too well. He was getting caught out early game when you know that they're around you, and like that kind of ekes me when you're coming up against this sort of Team Liquid, who are struggling with their jungle at the moment. But who knows? I feel Team Liquid might edge it. As for the third match of the day, this one is another close matchup and very interesting to me, and one that I want to watch with a keen eye. It's going to be TSM vs FlyQuest, and I don't know about this one really. I feel it could go either way. As a whole, I've said that for a lot of matches this year, but this one I feel is going to be fun and interesting. I feel though that TSM will win it, but I feel it's not going to be conventional means of we're just going to get a kill bot lane, get our bot lane super duper fed, or get our jungler super duper fed so that we can just push out with a Gragas and win out the game that way. But it's I feel that TSM will just edge it though. And for the last game of the day, Immortals beating EG. EG has slumped really. You've got the 2 best top junglers in the league last year, Xmithy and Svenskeren, going up against each other in a sort of matchup that I'm intrigued to see how well each team performs in, because it's a lot of new players versus a lot of new players, and the team comps that they're bringing are kind of unique to themselves, and I'm intrigued to see how it goes. Now we move over to the last games of this week in the Monday Night League. FlyQuest versus 100 Thieves, which probably, depending on how well I set up for this week, will be the Anarchy analysis. If not, it'll be a game from Saturday, because I need time to obviously edit the clips and put it together, or I might just do a full game cast, who knows. But FlyQuest 100 Thieves, C9 versus EG, yeah. I've gone with FlyQuest beating out 100 Thieves. It's another close matchup. It's a good match. I feel though that FlyQuest, with their current playstyle and how they're working, it's going to be them picking up the win here against the, I'd say, underperforming 100 Thieves with how they're doing. And for the last game of the week, we have C9 versus EG. Need I say anything else? C9 are gonna end out the week with only one loss. EG just won't perform against C9. Granted, Zazel and Svenskeren have something to prove against the team they were formerly on, that they chose to leave to go to EG on, and also Kumo left to join. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see that game, and it's probably the reason why it is match of the week or matches of the week candidate. But yeah, that's going to be it for this week's results and predictions video. If you enjoyed it, leave a like down below, subscribe if you're new around here, and I will see you guys, well, I might not see you guys tomorrow if I decide to edit any Pokemon on my birthday, who knows. Anyway, that's gonna be it. Peace out.